Welcome to Discover a New Future, a show geared at empowering women to be the best versions of themselves. I'm your host, Faith Saunders. ALS. ALS is a disease that impacts over 6,000 individuals each year in the United States. And it's one that significantly impacts not only the individual that is diagnosed, but the entire family. Today, we are having two wonderful ladies here who's going to be talking about ALS and its impact on the family, especially children. There's so many children, we're referring to them earlier today as the forgotten children who are caregivers for their loved ones who have been diagnosed with this illness. So today I'd like to welcome both Jody O'Donnell Ames. I got it right?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and Nancy Yantas.
Yes.
And both ladies are from Hope Love Company. And Jody is the founder, executive director of the organization, and Nancy is a director of communications.
Yes.
So I'd just like to welcome you ladies.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Before we even start, I just want to say thanks for the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the work that you do and for having us here.
So what is ALS? Let's start out there.
ALS is a neuromuscular disease that is terminal. There's no known cause or cure. And basically what it does is it takes muscles, all muscles, and causes atrophy so that a patient loses the ability to walk, talk, use hands, and eventually speak and breathe.
Wow.
So I like to refer to it as MS on steroids.
Wow.
And it progresses very quickly, and patients live on average 2 to 5 years post-diagnosis.
Wow.
So it's a very tragic disease.
And it's progressive.
And it's
2 to 5
progressive.
years.
Yes.
Wow. So what brought you to this juncture in your life where you're an advocate for children?
Yes. So I was the normal 29-year-old happily married with a toddler in my life, and my husband Kevin, my late husband Kevin, started having symptoms. He had twitches when he went to bed. He tried to play football and couldn't run properly. He tried to ski and couldn't stay on skis. He had skied since he was 4 years old, and he said, "Hun, something is seriously wrong." Well, 8 months later, after seeing many doctors, we learned that he had ALS.
Wow.
And he lived a very heroic battle, was an amazing man, and lived 5.5 years with ALS before he passed in 2001.
Wow. How did that impact your family? I just can't even imagine what that...
No, I talk to people every day, who are now going through this. And anyone who's been a caregiver, short-term, long-term, knows the impact that takes on a life. That means that in addition to regular daily routine living, and the things that we have to do, this means that you are at some point someone's legs, someone's hands, someone's voice.
Wow.
Kevin was paralyzed and vented. He was speechless, and before he passed, he needed 24/7 care.
Wow.
So the impact is huge. You think about all of the things that you can do independently, thank God. Raising your kids, running errands, going to get food, cleaning the house, sending holiday cards, whatever it might be, paying your taxes. Adding to that the enormity of not only watching someone suffer with a disease and lose everything, but to try to maintain a quality of life for them and be there. Their nurse and their caregiver, their advocate. So it is a huge impact on a family. And our slogan at Hope Loves Company is, because if you live with ALS, so does your family.
Wow.
Everyone's involved. And I equate it to, in some cases, the short-term experience that someone in the military has. A parent is overseas, and typically it's a known fact that the children who are old enough lend a hand. You know, they're doing more chores, they're maybe picking siblings up, you know, they're filling that need for the absentee parent. And with ALS, our children are doing that.
Wow.
We have our ambassador sometimes is up at 5:30 in the morning before school to get her mom out of bed.
Wow. Wow.
And that's just, you know,
wow.
That's part of the deal.
And it's as you said, it's a full-time job in a sense, caring for your loved one. But so often with any disease or any illness, the individual who needs care or who needs the most help, which is a person who is ill, gets all the attention. But what's usually forgotten, who is always forgotten most of the time, is the children. And the children are so vulnerable. They're at that point when they're growing and they need their parents, they need all guidance, etc. But you can't be everything to everyone, right?
And that's no fault to anyone.
Exactly.
You know, I know patients don't want to hear that is the case, or will do anything to not make that the case. And the last thing that they say is, I don't want to be a burden to anyone. Patients are so amazing. And caregivers are so amazing, and they're working so hard, and everyone's trying to balance it. But when push comes to shove, I have always said that if my daughter Alina, who was 2.5 to 8 during Kevin's illness, if I had to decide whether to go with her to a birthday party or be in the hospital for a week after Kevin was vented because he could no longer speak, and no one could understand him, and how could I leave him in the hospital room by himself without a voice or the ability to switch a button, that I was with him because I knew my time with him was limited, and I also knew that there was no one else who could do that. Other people had to work, other people had to do things, and this was my life. He was my life. And so it's hard. You're pulled in so many directions, and you do the best you can. And that's all we can do in that situation, is the best we can. And I tell my families all the time, you're doing the best you can.
And that's all you can do.
We all have good intentions, we're just doing the best we can.
Well, what makes Hope Love Company unique?
Hope Loves Company is very unique because it is the only nonprofit that is doing this. The mission of supporting the children and grandchildren of patients living with ALS. There are other organizations that are supporting children who are caregivers to family members and parents with other diseases, but ALS and Hope Loves Company are concentrating on the same thing. So we are focusing on ALS children specifically. And I bring this to the table because I've had this experience. So in 2001, I lost my husband, Kevin, and I was obviously a single mom to Alina. And I started working with the ALS Hope Foundation in Philadelphia, a wonderful organization. And there I had a group of children who had grandparents living with ALS. And I bought a book, What Did You Learn Today? And we gave it out as gifts to the children in attendance. And the woman who wrote the book was Tina Singer Ames, and she lost her battle to ALS in 6 months. Her widower and children brought the book to the event, Warren, Nora, and Adam Ames. We all became friends, and 2 years later we married, and our 3 children, Alina, Nora, and Adam, were our wedding party.
Wow.
And so it's a great story, and I'm so blessed to have an amazing family and wonderful children. But in that time period of after being married and before starting Hope Loves Company, I recognized the need. My children had all 3 experienced a loss before the age of 11.
Wow.
And speaking to a counselor or an adult therapist was something they had the option to do, fortunately, but they needed to be around children who understood. They wanted to reach out in the way that was most comfortable to them, especially as they became teens. So, and they didn't have that. So I vowed to create that once I knew my 3 children were adults and on their way and in a good place, and that's what I started.
That's awesome. And no, you provide services to, you were saying, to us throughout the entire United States.
Yes.
And people even abroad have been thinking about bringing a chapter of your organization to their country. Wow, that is powerful. It starts with one thought, right? One
thought, and I love that faith wonderful. Because one thought is so powerful. You were saying earlier, your word is believe. So in the midst of all that chaos, I recognized that misery loves company. And if I surrounded myself with people who were miserable and complaining about everything, then I just couldn't function. I mean, I would be depressed. But as long as I felt uplifted and surrounded myself with positive people who had hope, then I felt hopeful.
Right.
Even though my husband did not survive the disease, I was still able to have love in my life and blessings in my life and nurturing and positive friendships. And when I look back, I say this honestly, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I just was speaking with our young ambassador this morning who was talking about, her mom's, she's losing her mom, and I said, I remember giving my husband's eulogy, and wow, to be honored, to honor him that way, and to be someone's hands and someone's feet, and to love them unconditionally that way is huge. I will never be able to do that for another human being again. So not in that way, not in that way. So I did find blessings in it, and that's where we came up with the name Hope Loves Company.
I love the name. I love the name.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Nancy, tell us a little bit about your involvement in Hope Love Company. What do you do?
Well, actually, one of the things that Hope Loves Company does is, like she said, she started with giving the books out. So we also do Hugs of Hope packages, which I was thrilled yesterday to send out. I think we sent out 4. Was it 4 or 5? Yeah, it was 5 packages. And what is in there is usually a plush animal. One of her books, which is The Stars That Shine, or What Did You Learn Today? And we usually send little bracelet or a Hope Loves Company t-shirt, and sending them out to the children to let them know that we're here for them, to let them know that someone cares and that they're not in this alone. I came on to Hope Loves Company a few months back after struggling with being in a job that I did not want to do, and wanting to find purpose in my life, and connected with her through my sister, and it definitely was meant to be. As an adult, I had lost parents at an early age, and I could relate to what it was like to be a caregiver. It was a different situation, a different disease, but it connected to me that there is a need. And when I was younger, I didn't have anything like this. And it hit home to me, just to be able to be there to let kids know that they're not alone. And it is difficult. And as you mentioned, children have enough in today's time just to be a kid is stressful enough. But when you have to do the cooking and you have to do the cleaning and you have to be a parent when you want to be just a child, that extra pressure, the guilt, the anger that goes through going through this, is a struggle. So sending out the Care of Hope packages is just a gift. It's such a blessing. And as you mentioned, we do Camp HLC, where it's a free weekend respite for the kids and their families to come, kids to be kids for the day. But there we have group sessions, support, art therapy, team building skills. I mean, it's an awesome weekend to have kids just come and be with other kids.
Wow.
And Jody will tell you of the one girl who, as she said, she didn't have to explain to anybody else what she was going through because they can understand.
They can understand. Exactly.
Actually, one of our campers, the first time she came to camp, and she lives in Connecticut, and she's such a sweetheart. She said it was the first time in a year and a half that I didn't have to explain ALS to anyone. Yeah. And we just received a message from her yesterday thanking us.
Wow.
And saying, thank you for starting this because I'm at the point now I'm reaching out and helping other children.
Yeah. That's
what it's all about. That's what it's about.
Hey, I'm trying not to cry because I actually wore mascara today for the first time. So it is powerful, and that is really what we're trying to do. In a nutshell, is not only give our children the skill set and the means to handle this situation to the best of their ability, and understand grieving is normal, and the steps of grieving and the process and being supported and embraced in all of this, but to go on to help others through it.
Yeah, exactly.
The Hope Loves Company, that we can do this together. It may not change the outcome, unfortunately, yet. We will have a cure someday. But for now, just being able to survive.
Right. And being there for each other.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing. I remember back, that sense of isolation that you feel when you're going through something as devastating as that. And these kids have such a connection, and to see that is powerful. And to know that they're there for each other, that support system at such a young age that sometimes we don't learn until we're adults. Unfortunately, but just to know that they're not alone, that they have that support, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. Beautiful thing to see
and see them blossom.
Yes.
I can imagine some of them coming so quiet, and by the end of the camp, they have friends. They're
open up. Well, we had the one girl who was didn't even want to go. Her sister said, "You have to come," and before the camp was even over, she's like, "When's the next one?" So that was just speaks volumes.
That is the testimonial we need for what we're doing, and to keep doing this and working so hard.
Yeah, sorry. So let's talk a little bit more about the camp. How many children are impacted, would you say, roughly, by this disease?
It's hard by the disease.
Yeah.
So, there are currently 2 professors working on statistics, but we don't have any to date that are specific to ALS. But we can say that 85% of adults have children. So, if that being said, approximately 85% of our patients have children.
Right, that are impacted by
this. So whether they're children or grandchildren, we have Donna Dorney York from HARC, who supported our camp through her program. She lost her father when she was in her late 40s or her early 50s, and she said, then it was so horrible and so difficult that she supports Camp HLC. So we have, an average camp has between 40 and 60 members coming. And, when you talk about the impact, it's hard to say because you don't know if one family member, we even had a patient and her husband come to camp from Florida.
Wow.
They have 6 children. Even if coming to that camp to experience that, because it was a very late connection and we didn't have the means to bring the whole family over, but they will come to the next one. Even if they go back from camp, having met other people, having been in that situation for a weekend and talking to other parents, seeing how the children react, even if they bring that back.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So indirectly is a whole nother thing to say, what is the impact of that experience? Well, what if those 6 children get a better understanding because of patient and her husband's experience at camp? They bring that back. Then they bring it to their schools.
That's so true.
And their friends. And they say, oh, we just learned about this. And you know what? We have a different outlook. Or we have faith in this. Or we can help my mom get through this. So the impact can be huge.
Okay, it's a rippling effect.
I was just going to say, it is a rippling effect.
Exactly.
It absolutely is.
Wow.
And that's what's so special about Hope Loves Company, too, is that there are so many things connected with ALS that is research, and you hear all the money is going for research, and we hope that there is a cause, a cure one day. But the thing is that Hope Loves Company is for the children. Everything that comes in, from the books to any donations, goes directly to that, and spreading the awareness and letting people know that we're here for those kids. That is amazing in itself. So when we had a fundraiser that was the worst time to have, it wasn't a great turnout, but at that event there was a young girl who whispered to her friend, "My dad has ALS."
Wow.
And she wasn't able to come to the camp, but her brother was. And sweet little 10-year-old. I know, don't make me cry about it. But that was amazing for him and his father.
And he came up to us at the end of camp and he said, "I need to thank you.
Wow.
I'm going back and telling everyone about this. I believe in what you're doing." At 10.
Yes. Yeah.
At 10.
10 years
10.
old.
And he even said, he was like, "I'm going to talk to my principal about doing a fundraiser." 10 years old.
That's what, but I'm having goosebumps.
You got
Got chills.
And as a matter of fact, I just want to share, his mom recently reached out and thanked us for what we're doing. And she said, "He and I have decided that this is all just an amazing thing, that we talk about this and what the impact is and how amazing it is."
Wow.
So for him to, at 10, to make this decision and share it and be so profound about it,
Exactly.
is really, it's a
It's a
blessing.
gift.
It's a gift. It's a gift. It is a gift.
And it's good to have champions, like small little champions, and to really be able to talk from that. Because sometimes as adults, I think the greatest testimony you can have is from the children themselves.
Absolutely.
Talking about the impact this has had on their lives.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
because as adults we haven't walked in their shoes per se, but they can talk firsthand about the impact the services that you're providing has had on their lives. Sorry.
Right. We are cheerleaders for them. They are our walking, job descriptions.
So, what are some of the things how can we help? How can our viewers help? I mean, because I heard camps. If the camp's
ways.
only only once a year, what? Tell us a little bit about the camps,
So there's
etc.
so many ways that our viewers can help with any nonprofit. As you know, there's so many ways. First and foremost is to just go on to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like us, share us, look at our video on www.hopelovescompany.com. We can always use interns, volunteers for events. We have ongoing fundraisers, so if anyone has ideas for fundraisers and can help us implement them, that is wonderful. We have a need for volunteers at Camp HLC, professional volunteers. We have a camp coming up in May, which is in New Jersey. We have camps in Indiana and Massachusetts coming up this summer. And we have a fall camp in New York. Obviously, donations of time, monetary donations are welcome as well. If you're looking for a unique niche for your advocacy, this is a great way to do something different. As far as professionals, we always need help we need interns for IT, for marketing, for donated items. Our care packages that Nancy so eloquently spoke about, we like to have a stuffed animal. We have a t-shirt and one of our books. But with the tweens and the teens, that's a whole nother, it's harder so we find that, obviously they don't want a toy or a stuffed animal. Some do, and that's fine. But we can always add a gift card. That's great.
That's awesome.
Great. Gift cards are wonderful because anyone can use them. Or, sometimes jewelry, something that would be different for an older child. And books for older children would be really appreciated. What else? And that's
Well,
a
and I
great
think
start.
the important thing is when you do like us on Facebook, it's spreading the awareness, and obviously the monetary. It's a small grassroots. I mean, it's me and Jody at this point, running around and having lots and lots of things to do and loving every minute of it. But where the monetary donations come in, you can even think of it as sponsoring a child for camp.
That's a great
Everything
idea.
is free. Like I said, all the books we just bring and we put them in the care packages. Like she said, gift cards would be fabulous. But the whole point is that that whatever you're donating to sponsor a child to go to camp, that's going directly to them. There is no, it's just all that money goes directly to the kids, which is just I think such an amazing
Exactly.
thing, and you putting a face to that. It's not you're sending your money and you hope that it gets there. There's so many, unfortunately, so many organizations where that money gets lost.
That's true.
But Hope Loves Company, there's kids everywhere, and helping them is just such a wonderful thing.
Wow. And another thing too is, by all means, if you know someone. Nancy was at our office yesterday. We have an office in Pennington, thanks to Dr. Ron Suzuki, has given us some space. She was in the office preparing the 5 Hugs of Hope care packages, which is fun to do. But someone walked in and said, "Oh my goodness, my sister was just diagnosed in Virginia. How can we get help to her children?"
Wow.
So we don't know how word will spread, but if there's a family that we can help, whether, we've had texts come in that, from families that say, okay, my child is 4, but on a different level, and he wants to know what's going on. How do I do this? We're not professionals, but we have experience as to what has worked, what we've seen work. We have resources that we can provide free of charge to them and say, here's a book. Here's a great way to share the book. So we'll do our best. And then we always, of course, say, talk to your student council, your school counselor. I have we're the NJASC Student Council Charity of the Year, so I have that on my mind. We've been speaking, thank you, we've been speaking all over, it's been wonderful. That's another way that
you can help too.
That people can help is to invite us to your school to speak through New Jersey Association of Student Council. But back to that, just spreading the word, because what Nancy and I have found, and our amazing, we have a board of 8 people, amazing board as well. Anytime that we're out, we meet someone who has known someone with ALS. And whether that loss took place a year ago or 20 years ago, that's an impact. And whether it's a grandchild or a child, we want to reach out and say, we recognize that you were a caregiver. We recognize that, we just got a call yesterday from a woman who said, my 12-year-old just can't imagine what Pop-Up's going through, and how do I talk to him? He's just so sad about it, that watching this. So it doesn't matter if it's fresh or if it's a recent or a long ago wound. It's this connection.
Right.
So so please share if you do know of anyone, and we may be of help. Please share Hope Loves Company. Share our videos on YouTube. We have like 5 on YouTube also.
I always say this. Time goes fast when, I don't want to say we're having fun because it's a serious topic, but I mean sharing really valuable information. And I just want to really thank both of you for being here and for the work that you do, as I said. And you can count on me in whatever way that I'd be happy to help.
Faith, thank you for what you're doing for this community. I've seen you in action, and you are truly amazing. You just shine. You really do shine. you do.
You are a bright light.
The beauty just exudes from you.
It really does.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, until next time, think positively. Thank you.